And one last question here for me, and then I'll turn it back over to Kim. But I noticed in the chat room a while back that someone questioned about whether or not, because of the apparent animosity and the hostility you're experiencing from the authorities and trying to get this case brought to light or refocused, do you feel at all threatened? Do you feel in any way in danger or anything, because you have apparently some fresh information, possibly explosive stuff? Do you have any concerns for your personal well-being?
I do. I'll be very honest, I do. And I have had multiple, I work with an advocate here who has looked at various documents and things that I have in my particular set of circumstances. And anytime you've got information that people want concealed of this level and of this seriousness, yeah, I most definitely do. But I'll tell you that on the other side of the coin, I feel that I am safer by being vocal about it. You just, I'm not going to be intimidated and back down or succumb to any type of, discrediting or devaluing or smearing or other things like that, because I have the documents. I can sit and I can read them for myself and go, this is not right, and what was going on here and why. Who is being protected?
Have you perhaps had any contact from some of the major news magazines, the 2020s or something, interested in the story?
I have not at this point. Most of what I have done has been to pursue through different lawyers, trying to look at just the nature of this case and how do you go about it. My primary and first concern is to come forward as a witness in this case. We need to take a look at just what's being concealed in those files that they do not want people to see and do not want people to know. Because who knows who else that leaves vulnerable. As you said, do I feel threatened? Yeah, I've gotten anonymous mail. That's pretty intimidating. That is the first and foremost. Am I seeking right now and looking to find avenues to make the public more aware of this case? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have been very bold as far as things that I've put up on the Internet, but I've backed it up with documents, that there are some serious issues here, and there are some, as I said, someone had an agenda here, and a member of my family was intentionally murdered. That's not okay. That's not okay.
Okay, and Eve, do you have, we gave out, someone posted the website in the chat room, but for people who are not in the chat room, can you give out any website information where there's more information about Joan's murder and some of the evidence and so forth?
Yes. If you Google in Joan Webster murder dot Yola, YOLA SITE, Yola site.com. I am building a website there. There are documents that are up. There are a lot of photographs. There are news articles up there. I've put a very critical timeline. And one of the things that started to help things make sense is I've put everything in that timeline. Everybody, everything, including family, to see what was going on, who was doing what, who knew what when. And that's where the pieces started to all of a sudden make sense, and I could see where the real obstructions were and where there are, maybe some areas to look at as far as motivation. Who wanted to murder Joan Webster? This was a sweet, wonderful human being, an incredible student, loved by people. It's very difficult for anybody to conceive who would have wanted to hurt her. So, I'm real curious. Who did she threaten?
Well, it sounds to me like you're not going to give up the hunt here very easily. So I got a feeling that this is going to be going forward in spite of the lack of cooperation that you've received so far. Actually,
the lack of cooperation has steeled my resolve that much more, because it's telling me that I'm right on the money. To be and I have taken some personal attacks, most definitely. But I know myself. I know who I am as a person. And as I said, these documents speak for themselves. And as far as what documents and things are up there is a lot up there to understand that things are not right in this case. That's number one. But the real explosive things are not up there yet. And part of that reason is because I am still trying to find the proper avenue. I don't want people sitting out there in the district attorney's office coming up with excuses and stories anymore to explain away information that I do have and that I've acquired. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give them that opportunity.
Okay, thanks a million, Eve. I'll turn it back over to Kim.
Thanks, Denny.
Okay, well, we have about 20 minutes left. I just want to give out our phone number one more time here. It's 646-478-0982. Now, Eve, there's obviously a lot of players in this scenario. Let's get to that composite drawing now. When you saw it, did it look like someone you had recognized? Was it someone that you had possibly seen before, or someone that was a friend of hers from college? Was there any, did anything come to mind when you saw the composite?
The first thing that actually came to mind was the guy looks like an informant. There was not a particular identity that jumped out at me. But okay. I do not have the complete report. I don't know how big this man was. I don't know how far away the individual was from him. I don't know what he saw them do. That's in files that have not been accessed at this time. I do want to see that. I'm not going to, speculate and throw someone's name out there, but there is an individual involved in the case who has some general characteristics that match up with this. The man that was described had long hair, had a beard, full beard, and so did Trooper Andrew Palumbo. He was an undercover cop.
Now let's talk a minute about Trooper Andrew Palumbo. Now he isn't even here to defend himself. He did pass away. He died in a motorcycle accident. What year was that, Joan?
1998.
1998. Right, July of 1998. Now there's some interesting things about him. He did have a beard and he had long hair. And tell us about the gals who were at the Greyhound bus station. There were two women. He had followed two women at Logan Airport and gave them a ride. And there was one other incident, too, he gave a woman a ride from Boston Greyhound bus station in 82, in January. Tell us a little bit about Trooper Palumbo.
Okay, Trooper Palumbo was an undercover cop. He worked in narcotics along with his superior, Sergeant Carmen Tamaro, and he worked with informants. He worked with informants. We do have documentation that there may have been some connection with these officers and what the FBI was doing, and that was trying to infiltrate and break down the mafia at that time in Boston. And I'm not going to the reason I bring that up is because the mafia was one faction of organized crime, but at the same time the FBI was trying to dismantle them, they were protecting members of another organized crime group, and that's James Bulger, Whitey Bulger, who's infamous, and still on the FBI's most wanted list. So, whatever efforts may have been noble on one cause were helping the other. And there were protected people in Whitey Bulger's group, including Bulger himself, who were murderers. They were let off the hook.